Welcome everybody here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. This is your host behind the mic, Jake the Snake Silva here, and with me are my two favorite colleagues, Kevin, and I've also got JD Rants as well here in the building. And here we are going to discuss, because there have been some there's been some talk around in the league. There's been some talk about
Did you call me Kevin?
Well, introduce yourself, my friend.
Okay, it's the co-host with the most to get your dumb ass smoked. Springs TV. My name is Keith, by the way, and we are here. All right. Now you
My bad, Keith. My bad. You know I got you, man. I appreciate it.
Definitely.
So anyway, there've been some talks around about who really wore the number 3 better, because a lot of us can think of who in the NBA wore number 3. AI, D Wade, Steph Marbury, or so many others that you could think of. I could probably look up on the comments and tell me, you guys comment in who wore 3 or any of them that you could think of. But right now we're actually focusing in on 2 specific players that I think were very impactful wearing the jersey number, and that would be Dwyane Wade and Allen Iverson. So the man behind the stats here, JD Rants, is going to give us all the stats from here, as you can kind of see how close it is. So to break that down, I've got JD Rants here. JD, floor is yours, my friend.
Well, thank you. We can all break them down together, really. I'm sure Keith has got a lot of opinions on this too. Keith and we were talking before the show, before we decided to go live, and Keith thinks that, Keith, you're on the D Wade side. So D Wade's got
correct
for career. He's got 22 points a game, and he's got 23,000 points. Total rebounds, D Wade has Allen Iverson beat. Total steals, he's got AI beat. Blocks, he's got him beat by a lot. Actually, D Wade's one of the best blocking guards in the history of the game, if you really look at it. And if you go up here, D Wade owns him on legacy. So give me your best D Wade, I guess your best D Wade argument for Allen Iverson, and I'll kind of retort. Or me and Jake can. Jake, you like AI too, right? For this argument?
Honestly, it's really hard to choose between the two of them. But if you had to ask me, I mean, I'm leaning more toward the D Wade side, only because of some of the certain things that, like, in his career that he's gone through. But I've always showed love for AI. I mean, but we'll see. We'll see what Keith has to say about that.
I just think D Wade handled himself well. He was more of a leader. He didn't have to be so vocal, and I believe that I feel like Shaq needed D Wade. That was when Flash was there. I feel like LeBron needed D Wade, but they both needed each other. AI just got the bad end of the stick. I feel like with his playoff, when he went to the finals for the playoffs, he had the bad end of the stick. He didn't have anybody to even back him up. He had to score. It was where he had to score 51 points, 40 points, or whatever, just to get to where they needed to be at. D Wade was more impactful when he needed to be.
I mean, a lot of people forget that with Shaq. So Shaq came to Miami, and he was like, he was just like, oh, I need a ring. I need to come here and get my 4th ring. I want 4 rings. And he promised them he would bring them a championship. But a lot of people forget that D Wade was the finals MVP, and that D Wade was the hero in that playoff run. So that is true. I'll give you that for sure. I think the argument I would make it for Allen Iverson over D Wade, is that Allen Iverson carried his team in, and I'll give you, it was a weekend East after Michael Jordan left, in my opinion, and Patrick Ewing kind of declined, and a bunch of other guys declined in the East, and Allen Iverson kind of like took his team. He was the only star, really the only star. Like Dikembe, or no, who was it Dikembe Mutombo?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he had I think he had Mutombo, and then he had a couple other guys that were okay, like
Eric
White,
Snow was one of
Eric
them.
Snow. That's what it was, Eric Snow.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Eric White, but Eric Snow. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, a couple guys like that, but other than that, yeah, it was pretty much just AI making the crazy plays. Everyone knew it was coming, and he still gave it to him. But it's hard. It is hard because AI, like Darion said in earlier in our chat, like a lot of people wore number 3 jersey because of AI. Like he was an icon. He was definitely an icon. Not a lot of people can say they wore number 3 because of Dwyane Wade. Some kids do, but just because I think like he was the face of Philly for a while. He was the face of the Nuggets for a little while, not very long. Eventually he got replaced by Chauncey Billups, and they went even farther with Chauncey Billups. So a lot of people forget that too. So actually you could argue that's a knock against AI, actually, that once Chauncey Billups came, they were better. Like that's kind of crazy if you think about it. But anyway, I think I've talked myself into leaning Dwyane Wade, actually. Well, actually, you made a good point, Keith, there too, with being a better teammate. That matters.
Yeah,
that does. That's actually kind of saved me too.
Yeah, and you have to think about like some of these NBA players, whether current or even past legends. You have to think about some of these NBA players and the type of chemistry and what they brought to the table to the team. Because you have to think about. I say this also as being a hockey fan. Obviously, with the Vegas Golden Knights and stuff like that, hockey plays with a team. NBA as well, I feel like has the same exact approach. You got to play with the team. That's why you got certain people on the floor that you know and trust. And I think with AI, what's kind of interesting here when I look at this, you have to think about AI as being, I think he was like maybe one of the best ball distributors when you look at his assists per game. Like he was the type of guy that was willing to open the floor up for anybody that was willing to take opportunities. And that is important. I mean, you have to think of guys that were very impactful in the game that knew how to do that and what has given their teams chances of the championship. But even in D Wade's situation, I mean, he was, you have to think, this is a young kid that came out of Marquette. Okay.
Yeah,
and the
true.
Heat, the Heat when was who was the last face of the franchise guy for the Miami Heat? Alonzo Mourning? The second Dwyane Wade came into this Miami organization, like he became a new face of that franchise. And eventually that's when everybody like Shaq and many others came along just by the play style and even how he carried himself both on and off the court. And I think that is important in what wins championships. But I also think of it this way. I thought D Wade was such a pure shooter, though. That's the one thing that every time when I watched D Wade and watched him shoot, he could either shoot mid-range or he would even give you important three-point shots. That's my opinion. I mean, it's no knock to AI, but I just felt like that was.
I'm
D Wade.
I'm leaning AI. AI is definitely, or rather, I'm leaning D Wade, but AI is definitely an argument. I think that AI definitely the crossover on Jordan. I think that definitely helps his case. Like I think that like makes people it presents an image of AI like, oh, he was cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hold on. We still forget that Jordan still dropped 35 and still won that game. We do forget that.
Or yeah, you're right. People forget. All they remember is the highlight. That's it.
They only remember the highlight. And you have to think about how much the NBA is pretty much it's a star-driven league. So when you get like these young cats that come in, like for example AI, and he performs a crossover against one of the greatest that had played the game, of course that's going to stream viral. You know, that's where people are going to talk about that specific play. They weren't even going to talk about Jordan putting up 35 points and then win that game. They're just going to talk about when the crossover happened. And then that was what
just
paved
like the step
the way.
over crossover.
Yeah.
Just like the step over crossover. You know what I mean? The crossover and then the step over.
Yeah.
They always remember that part.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They don't remember that they still got – it was 4-1.
Yeah, when AI
mean,
when
bro?
AI stepped over Ty Lue.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
Or on-
a good point. Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those iconic moments elevate AI. And
yeah.
But who do you guys feel was more fundamentally sound?
Dwyane Wade.
Dwyane Wade by far.
Okay. All right.
Well,
okay.
Okay. It depends on what you mean by fundamentally sound. Fundamentally sound in the sense that you're going to go by the game plan, you're going to listen to the coach, you're going to play with your teammates well.
The IQ,
Dwyane Wade in a heart.
your IQ.
Oh, Dwyane Wade.
Yeah.
Because here was the thing,
You know what I'm saying?
you did make a point, Keith, about AI being vocal. Yes, he was very vocal, but to an extent of how I think that we kind of dissect it and think of, okay, this is the type of player that AI really is. And even just about his play style and his skill, but what he brings to the table to an organization as a whole. That's your group. That's your coach. So I think D Wade by far, I think he's a perfect example of what that looks like and even how it performs. I mean, you have to think of how D Wade recruited Shaq and then recruiting LeBron, Chris Bosh, then bringing in guys like Shane Battier and he brought in a lot of great guys because they all loved the chemistry and everyone was on the same page.
And you have to you have to give him a lot of people are gonna take away credit for that. You can either give him credit for that or you can take it away. You can either say, oh well, he needed other guys, he begged other guys. There's two different mentalities that people have. But I feel like for me, being a team guy is I don't know, I don't think that's weakness. I think that's just you want to win, you want the best teammates to win. I don't know. I don't see that as weakness.
Well, no, and perfect example for this is and this is where everybody kind of misses the ball about Golden State. All because Kevin Durant went there to win a championship. And what people don't understand is that look at how impactful Steph Curry has been in this league. I mean, he literally changed the game of, the play style of where, it's a shooter's league. Because I actually do remember being in elementary school and I would go into, when it was lunchtime, I would go with my friends and there were a bunch of, basketball hoops out there. Everybody showcased everybody was playing with athleticism and style and whatnot. Me, I was working on my shot. Because that was literally all I was really good with. And now that Steph Curry has brought more of the 3-point shot, which was not so popular at the time, it's now become the big thing. Centers are shooting threes. So it's you have to think of the impact and the influence that Steph Curry had. Because I've said this before, without Klay Thompson, the Golden State Warriors are done. I say it because Klay Thompson is a ghost. He's the guy that will disappear for a little bit of time, even in the season. But then when postseason comes in, he's lights out. You can't argue that.
I don't think there's ever been a hotter shooter than Klay Thompson. There's just never been someone who can just blow you up over and over and over. Just 3-point. Just it doesn't matter if there's a hand in his face. I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, and if somebody was struggling on the field, he's willing to pick him up. We watched the last finals played between Toronto and Golden State. He took Golden State on his back and dropped that many points until it took him that much, and then he messes his leg up. That shows a lot of heart and a lot of dedication that you have for that organization. It ain't even just about your playing career, but that's what I think some of these players have a tendency to miss the ball at. Because think about it this way. If AI was able to be chemistry-wise the same type as Dwyane Wade would be, then maybe we wouldn't even have this kind of debate or argument, and then AI could have gotten championships.
I agree with you. If you bought in more, like Keith said.
Now, does AI have any Olympic medals?
Let me check. Let's look at this. Let me double check, make sure. So I don't know if it shows Olympic medals. Oh, here it does. Wait, no, it doesn't.
Go to The Olympics.
Allen Iverson Olympic medals. 2004. 2004. Did 2004? Did they win? They went. Oh no! Bronze. They were on the bronze.
They were
team.
bronze.
That was the bronze team right before.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
You hear me? They got the bronze. No, AI got the bronze. Oh shit!
We lost Keith. Hold on, we'll expect him back here in a second. But okay, so then so the other thing though too that you
bad. That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good at all. That's absolutely not good. No, because especially when you think of if AI was a part of that dream team. I mean that definitely could have changed a lot, but
yes, if AI was part of that, I mean that's the thing. Like if AI he didn't win the bronze, like that should go against, or he didn't win the gold. That should go against your legacy. Dwyane Wade won the gold in 2008, and then I believe he won in 2012 too. So he's a 2-time gold medalist. Like Melo's a 3-time gold medalist.
Yeah.
You could argue Melo's better than Dwyane Wade or AI.
Ooh, yeah, but you're also talking about Melo too. That
AI is better.
Yeah, AI is definitely better.
Sorry about that.
Right. There's Keith. There he is.
There we go.
We were saying that AI, man, he only got bronze. So that's a mark against his legacy, whereas Dwyane Wade has 2 gold medals.
Yeah.
But even as you look at it here, like even aside from, being a part of the Olympic team, you look at the championships, and Dwyane Wade obviously sits solely with 3 championships while AI with 0. But here's the other thing I look at. The playoffs that they played in. I mean, Dwyane Wade's played in more playoff appearances than AI has. And you have to think of it, but you also have to think of teams' performances, which is another big reason. I mean, Miami, here's what's interesting about Miami, because if you look at them currently after LeBron left to go back to Cleveland, it took Miami 6 years just to get themselves back into the playoffs again. And they never fired Eric Spoelstra, which I truly had said before that if there was any coach that LeBron had that didn't you hire him, then you fire him, and then, he wasn't gone in 1 year, it has to be Eric Spoelstra. And, I think Eric Spoelstra was a hell of a coach out there in Miami. But even with having Dwyane Wade there, they showed they've showed their presence multiple times and showed that they're not a team really to kind of not a team to intimidate.
That's a fact.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Like, I think I initially thought Allen Iverson, but I think I've been I've seen that change my mind meme. I think I've changed my mind. Man. because like Dwyane Wade, I mean, yes, he's a sidekick. Yes. Yeah. But that's the thing. He has a bigger legacy as a sidekick than Allen Iverson had as a star. So we've identified the reasons why AI is so iconic, and it's because of these moments, these little snippets in history that don't really mean much in the long run. Whereas Dwyane Wade's moments actually meant something, and they actually have look at his hardware, this hardware here,
and
to kind of get on one last thing, I feel like I can take D Wade into a business meeting and come out of something better than I could take AI into a meeting,
right?
And come out of a business meeting for shoes, anything. I feel like I would get my money's worth with D Wade before I would AI.
Well, and I think that it serves a purpose of, because it's a bonding of trust. It's an absolute bonding of trust of, a person that, because I think that's what players have to understand. It's funny because I was having a great conversation with, he's a current star right now. He's a rookie with the Charlotte Hornets, PJ Washington Jr. I got a chance to talk with his dad who lives out here. He's got a house out here. And I got a chance to talk with him about how his son, I guess you could say, is like an intro to starting his own legacy. The fact that he comes into a college in Kentucky, which a lot of people do know about Kentucky, Duke, and so many other, power conference college teams out there. But then he had to work his way from the G League just to be up in the NBA. And if you've seen it, he was selected 12th overall. 12th overall in this past year's draft. I mean, the way that he had played amongst some of these, he could easily be a top 5. He could easily be a top 5 in it, but it's the grind, it's the motivation, but it's also what you're willing to put on the table for some of these organizations. And an organization like Charlotte, which is more of, I would like to say, quote unquote, a rebuilding franchise that builds the star player, but then it's up to the star player whether they go to a different organization and then build something special there.
I mean, you're definitely going to get paid the most if you go to Charlotte and stay in Charlotte.
Who had more games? Who played more games?
Dwyane Wade.
Okay.
AI had more points, though.
Yeah, AI had more points, but I think of it. Here we go.
He did have more points because I would hope he did have more points just off the fact that.
So there's an interesting fact right there. The field goal percentage. Look at the quality shots. I feel like there were some quality shots in there. Because that's another thing. When you look at AI and you have to think of, okay, he's got that many points over Dwyane Wade, you have to think of the qualities of shots that he's taking, whether it's, in the middle of the paint, or if he's, on the 3-point line, like where exactly is he shooting from, and how is he, like, at the same time distributing the ball, whether he distributes it to any of his other teammates or if he just goes in himself. I mean, that actually shows out very good that how good quality shots of Dwyane Wade, that the shots he was taking.
Well, I think something that's really impressive too is Dwyane Wade has the most blocks among a shooting guard of all time. Not a lot of people talk about that too. I know blocks are kind of I don't know if they're like a definitive stat, but at the same time, they do matter. If you're playing hard defense like that should stand for something.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to think of because you can't just come into the league and just be specifically just one version of yourself, and that's what I think what we have to see from, like, perfect example, like what we talk about with the Houston Rockets, Russell Westbrook, because I've always mentioned this about Cam Newton, because he's hyper athletic. He drives to the basket, but for how long can you keep that form until you have to reevaluate and refocus your game? Reshape it to the best version of you. Because I would much rather take somebody who's like a Swiss Army knife, like a LeBron, who's multiple versions of himself, than just settle for a Russell Westbrook, who's just one version. And even another perfect example, Carmelo Anthony. You have to think of Carmelo was such a good mid-range jumper, but his 3-point shots, he never even got a chance to focus on.
Yeah, he didn't really ever become a catch and shooter until he went to the Blazers, and and he's not necessarily efficient. He's just kind of average.
And that's where I think that when he surrounding him with guys like CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, I think was a good thing for Melo, because at least it got him an opportunity, because he even said it himself in that interview. He was getting ready to retire. If nobody was willing to give him a contract for him to sign, he was going to retire. Right. But the Blazers came in at the right time, and even with the personnel that they have, I know a lot of people don't really pay attention to Portland that much, but I'm telling you, Damian Lillard, when they knocked out who was it that they knocked out? The Rockets or the Thunder, I believe, last year in the play. Yeah, the Thunder. When they knocked out Russell Westbrook.
Game 5. So fast.
Yeah, it clearly
That shot,
showed everybody.
That was cold as fuck.
that shot was cold-hearted.
Absolutely.
Paul George called it lucky. It's like, bro, that was not lucky at all.
No, it wasn't.
That was
That
just
was all sheer determination.
Tunnel
right there.
vision.
Yeah.
He knew it was going in.
That's like saying Joel Embiid would then go and say Kawhi Leonard's shot was lucky.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like-
the bounce. Yeah, I got a lucky bounce, but I feel you. Like that. It's still no, dude. That was pure skill. He put that ball perfectly on the rim, and whether and he played so well. I mean, that's just you can't say something like that after a game. You sound salty as fuck.
Right.
Really.
So I guess while we're kind of wrapping this up, like let's think of some notable honorable mentions about, the number 3. Another one that I can think of is Steve Francis. Steve Francis was another guy that I truly like, because Keith, we were talking about this before, and the eras of basketball that I remember watching.
There's 2 more.
Steve Francis and how good of a player. He was such a good player, but then eventually it was like eventually his career kind of just went downward a little.
Marbury was 3, right?
Yeah, Stephon Marbury was 3.
So I got Steve Francis and Stephon Marbury stacked up.
Oh wow, look at that.
That's crazy.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
So yeah, pretty low field goal percentage, pretty low free throw percentage, but they did have some pretty solid seasons. Playoffs Marbury played in 5 playoffs. I did not know that.
Wow.
All Stars 3 and 2.
Well, I heard Steve Francis is about to play in the Big 3.
Really?
Oh, hell.
Really? That'd be great.
Yep.
I love watching Gilbert. I love the Big 3. I don't know if you guys watch that.
Oh, the Big 3 is so much fun.
He has a teammate with. He's teaming up with what is his name?
They have a lot of teams now.
Who's dating Tiana Taylor? Played for the Knicks. He played for LeBron.
Oh, is it
Is that
Here, I'm gonna pull up the Big 3.
Shumpert.
Oh, Iman Shumpert?
Yep.
Well, I guess if nothing's going nowhere with Cleveland, you might as well just teammate in the Big 3 then.
Yeah, I don't want to.
But I do love the Big 3, honestly. Like I honestly think that this is what the NBA should look like. Like something where you got the Big 3, you got trustworthy teammates. Like that's the way I think that fundamental basketball should always
Royce
be.
White.
Yeah, well, I'm pulling up all the rosters and shit. Oh wait, this is a draft. I'm sorry.
This is the draft.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'll go back. No, they say it right. My bad. I clicked the wrong thing. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of awesome players in there.
I heard there's a girl that wants to play.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
they're pretty aggressive. They hand check, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, if you're down with that, I guess. Here, I'll just see these rosters real quick.
All right,
I think this is solid. Like,
This is 2009.
Well, I think this is the best we're gonna get right now because they don't have the full rosters. But this is last year's rosters.
Mm-hmm.
So we got what you said. You said Steve Francis was going to join Iman Shumpert.
Yeah, Iman Shumpert's going to be playing next year too.
I wonder
I
which team.
was watching Vlad TV and I saw Iman Shumpert. If you watch his little interview about LeBron's IQ, then they talk about him being in there. Lamar Odom's going to be playing.
Oh wow.
He's going to play this year
He
too.
played
But
last
Lamar said he wants to get in shape. Lamar played this year or last year?
Or he played for like a game and a half, and then I think he like had some problems and didn't play. I don't know what it was, but yeah. But well, the thing with AI,
I hear he's
AI
playing
plays
this year.
games. Who's impressed me was Joe Johnson, and I love watching.
I wish
Gilbert
he was able
Arenas.
to play just 1 year with T-Mac, like Kobe and T-Mac
Oh.
and whoever. You can pick whoever.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be cool.
That would be.
That would be ridiculous. I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
gonna see real quick. I'm gonna see.
Back then, nobody wanted to be on the same team, though. Everybody wanted their own team, every star.
Yeah, everybody wanted their own team. They wanted to build.
Kobe really like. He wouldn't have to run a full court. Kobe would be like, I'll be in the post all day.
No, Kobe would eat people in the post. Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, guards today, a lot of them can just shoot because of Curry. Honestly, the young guards today, a lot of them, and like the big three, a lot of the guards, all they do, like Corey Maggette, all he does is like post people up and shoot threes. You know what I mean?
So,
yep. It's kind of crazy though, like, how the game's changed, how the game is always changing.
Yeah.
Due to the fact, like, we've never seen when Shaq was playing early in with the Orlando Magic. We didn't see no center shooting threes.
Yeah,
we didn't really see that.
Yeah,
I think that if Shaq was in the game today, that it would be a different game.
With the Anthony Davis, like let's he's playing with the Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? Shaq's got to come out and guard Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
we're gonna go score on the inside.
Well, does he have to guard Anthony Davis that much though? And also, Shaq was agile early on, don't you think? Early on, late he wasn't as much. He probably wouldn't last as long this year or in this league. He'd be running a lot more, right?
So then, I guess the other question though too is here's another honorable three, and I'm actually kind of surprised we don't even mention him, but CP3. Maybe when he is, I guess when his time is done in the NBA, that could be another interesting guy. I just truly think he may be another, not same lines as AI, but as far as trying to win championships and the groups that he was under, I almost feel like he's about the similar lines as AI.
I think that you can make a really good argument that CP3 is much better than AI. And you could even make a small argument. I wouldn't make it like that much that he's better than Dwyane Wade. And here's why. And I don't think it's like I won't say that because like obviously a lot of people wouldn't agree and I don't like and I'm not gonna like stone cold that like that's not 100% what I believe. It's definitely a toss up. But the argument I would make for CP3 is that dude, he's brought the Clippers, he brought a lot of teams to the playoffs with Blake Griffin hurt. Like he brought the Thunder to the playoffs. He brought the Hornets. To the playoffs. Yep. He brought the Rockets, or he helped the Rockets in the playoffs, and they went to the Western Conference Finals twice. And now he's bringing the Thunder to the playoffs. Wherever he goes to the playoffs. Every single place he's ever been, they've competed in the West. They've competed.
Well, and I think that what's interesting in Chris Paul's case is the fact that like he displays what a point guard does look like, a big time distributor of the ball. Like, you know, he's not afraid to take shots himself, but in his mind, he's like, that's not really my MO. I'm just a guy that will spread the floor for guys like James Harden, and then
get people wide open.
Right. Jamal Crawford, even Blake Griffin.
He's an incredible passer.
Yeah, he's an incredible passing distributor for sure.
And he knows how to use screens like probably as good as anyone ever in the history of the game. Like he sets people up. You know, also this right here, this is the pace of the league. So if you like the reason why we had so much parity in the league, the reason why we had so much ISO, look at the pace. The pace started up really high in the NBA. Like nobody could play defense. Everybody just laying it in, and it drastically got lower and lower the more defense people played. And now it's skyrocketing up. If you see this graph that I have here, yeah, exactly, you got it up. Yeah. That's the NBA pace. That's like possessions per game or possessions. Yeah, basically possessions per game. You could say.
Wow.
Yeah,
and you have to think of some of these.
It's getting up there, bro.
You have to think about some of these, like these defenders as well. I mean, you look at
Patrick Beverley.
Yeah, Patrick Beverley, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard. You know, a lot of these big time defenders. I mean, they have the ability to shut down or disrupt opportunities for opposing teams. Like that's their biggest strength, I would say, for some of these players. And it makes a case. It makes a case for some, because a lot of people, like, here's what's funny. This is why I've always said Klay Thompson and why he doesn't get so much love, because people forget that it ain't even just about the shooting portion, because they watch Steph Curry and they see him drain a three, and then now it just kind of misses, like, it takes people's eye off the real fact of what Klay Thompson's all about. I mean, I'm telling you, I go into he's the best two-way player in the league, and I'm telling you, every time I go into a sports store, all I see are Steph jerseys, and I don't see one single Klay Thompson jersey. Like, that just tells you how much love that we have for, like, a best two-way player in the game.
Klay doesn't embrace celebrity.
Now, do you think he's better than Bruce Bowen? A two-way player?
Oh yeah. Klay,
honestly,
you could argue Klay is better than Dwyane Wade. Like, you could argue it. Like, the reason why, yes, because the reason why is because, dude, nobody heats up like Klay, and nobody is abusive to his opponent like Klay. Like, yes, he's less dimensional. Like, Dwyane Wade has more dimensions to his game, more layers. But Klay's single layer, that single defense, I can guard your best player, and I can drop 45 on you with 3 points alone. That is disgusting, and that can. I mean,
please put the comparisons up.
D Wade's more consistent. I would give you that. D Wade's.
I was gonna say, please put the comparisons up.
Oh, the comparison, sure, yeah. Let's run that. And Klay, he has 3 championships. He's number 2. Dwyane Wade has 3 championships. He's number 2. So it's a very good comparison, in my opinion. They're both shooting guards.
I think it's the best close comparison right there.
They're different players. They play totally different, but at the same time, they're both shooting guards. And they're from the same era, or close to the same era.
Yeah, and I mean they both.
But Klay can play a 3 guard, can he?
He could, yeah. He plays 3. He guards your 3 sometimes if you need him to. If you need him to, if they're playing small, and Dwyane Wade's or here it is. Here's the comparison. Yeah, both have 3 rings. Dwyane Wade has season. Klay only has 8, so Klay already he still has 8 years left probably if he stays at Dwyane Wade's.
Yeah, he still got a lot of more time.
He can win even more titles. Dwyane Wade has a Finals MVP. Klay Thompson does not. Dwyane Wade was All NBA first team. Klay Thompson has not been. He's been on All NBA teams, but he was a second team. So Klay only has 1 All Defense, and D Wade has 3. Scoring leader, Thompson's never done that. Thompson doesn't average as many points. So I think Dwyane Wade has an edge right now. But when it's all said and done, I'll be interested to revisit this topipic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think
we gotta wait until he's done though. Kind of. That's kind of not fair.
Yeah, because he's still young. People forget.
How many games does he have?
He only has 8 seasons.
Total games.
Oh, total games. Let me see.
Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even gonna be close.
No.
I wonder if that's on there. Oh, here it is. Or wait, no, it's not.
It's just points.
You scrolled past it.
Did I? I might have.
Yeah. Stop.
Oh, they're all points per game.
No, you could. He passes. He keeps passing it.
Oh, there it is. Total games.
Really?
Yeah.
I miss it. There it is. Total games. Let's see.
Yep.
Okay, so Klay's had 115. Dwyane Wade's had 154 or 1,054.
Yeah.
Dwyane Wade obviously has him in blocks because he's the best blocking guard ever, and he has him in steals. Dwyane Wade has him in assists by a lot, rebounds by a lot, points by a lot. So Klay's got a lot of work to do.
He has over 400 games more than him.
Yeah, Dwyane Wade's on a better pace, more consistent pace. I just think that if Klay and Steph can get back to – because this is the thing. If they win a couple more titles together, like let's say them and Wiggins, right, win a title or 2, then people are going to forget it. Like, and KD doesn't win shit. People are going to disrespect KD the rest of his life. What do you guys think about that?
I feel like that could be, because here's the thing. I said this before, that if Kevin Durant would win a championship in Golden State, I'm like, what were the odds that, Kevin Durant goes back to Oklahoma City if they really wanted him back, just to get the experience and to go now and win a championship? But at the same time, too, you have to think of how Oklahoma City shot themselves in the foot, knowing that they invested so much in Russell Westbrook, and then James Harden, Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, Kendrick Perkins, and all of them are gone. And then eventually Russell Westbrook then goes. And then now they had, and even with that, what's interesting, and now you bring Chris Paul in, and now Oklahoma City's back in the mix again. But it ain't the same as like how that team.
Right.
I still say this. I still think James Harden would have had a better shot than Thabo Sefolosha would have throughout that whole playoff run.
Oh God, yeah. Well, James never
God.
bought into playing defense and playing and being a number like 2 or 3. He was like, hell no, bro. I'm a number 1. You give me the ball 80 times a game, like.
But of course, that's where, imagine that. Imagine if he was still there in Oklahoma City, and how much worse it could have gotten. Yeah, how much worse it could have got between him and Russ.
And Steph doesn't have any MVPs either, right? No playoff MVPs, right?
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Oh, I think I lagged. My bad. I lagged. I missed that one. What he said.
You're saying if Klay Thompson had playoff MVPs.
Well, like, yeah. I mean, I feel like there's still time. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of time. Klay's only like 28 or 29.
Yeah, there's still time left for Klay.
Yeah, he's behind. He's behind Wade by 400 games.
Yeah, Klay's got plenty of time, plenty of mileage still. He's got a whole year and a half to rest still before the playoffs even start. It's crazy, man. He's got all this time.
Well, it's interesting though. I mean, hey, I will tell you this. This is an awesome player comparison, though. Well, this is definitely something we'll revisit another time. Hopefully,
let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, because I think the one thing that I did want to do as well, JD, and we'll talk about it later on, was doing offensive line comparisons between Cincinnati and Miami. Because again, I'm trying to make a point of, with the up and coming draft, of why that I still think that if I was the Cincinnati general manager and I'm given 3 first-round picks, I would have to look at how the line looks and what I would need to do from there and who I would get for those 3 picks. But that'll be for another time as well. But so yeah, like so again, honorable mentions as well. We've mentioned about Chris Paul, Steph Marbury, Steve Francis as well. But I think we can kind of go with the case. I will say Dwyane Wade is definitely better than Allen Iverson by far.
I think you've changed my mind, Keith, and you have changed my mind.
Right.
So I guess
right.
So we'll definitely hear it from the fans whenever we get a chance to see their comments. I know we didn't have too many, but hopefully we'll have some, and maybe we'll get some sort of opinions or something like that between these two. But I thought this was great.
Hell yeah. We'll revisit this topic for sure.
Definitely.
Oh, very much. But all righty, guys. Well, this was definitely a fun interactive show as well. Never really get like too many chances to do this, so it's absolutely a pleasure here on the Snake Sports Talk Show, especially with it being a building channel. There's going to be so many opportunities of this to happen, but I want to thank both of my really good colleagues, Keith down below for me, JD as well, with all the stats and the comparisons. This was so much fun. But guys, I will have this here on my YouTube channel, so definitely feel free to check it out. Also on Facebook Live. Even if you're not friends with me personally, you can check out my page at Snake Sports Talk Show. I will also have it up on the group chat with the Snake Sports Talk Show chat group as well, so you guys can check that out. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and follow me on Spotify to catch up on all of the episodes. Snake Sports Talk Show. I will have my podcast episode number 14 ready for this weekend. So also feel free to follow in with JD Rants. He's got his YouTube channel and a Twitter account as well. So definitely check him out. This is a great colleague of mine as well, and even with Keith. Keith, do share what your social media platforms where people can follow you.
Okay, guys, you can follow me on Snapchat. You can follow me. You just type in Springs TV on Facebook, and you can find me. And that's all right now. I will be coming. I'll be getting the YouTube page soon.
Hell yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, this was definitely a fun show, but of course, as most things, great shows often have to come to an end. But I thank you all. I thank you all for tuning in here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Have a great Friday night. I know we got the weekend, obviously with this whole pandemic, but we're all here with you, and we love talking about sports throughout this whole time. So catch you guys later. We'll talk to you soon.